Snow fell in thick, slanting sheets over Moscow, swallowing the city in white and muting the usual roar of traffic into a distant hum. The black government sedan moved through the storm with mechanical precision, its tinted windows reflecting a fractured image of the man seated inside. Vladimir Orlov sat motionless, gloved hands resting on his knees. His face, familiar to millions from military parades and late-night addresses, was calm, almost serene. But the faint muscle twitch in his jaw betrayed the tension beneath. His phone vibrated once. He didn't check it immediately. The driver's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, waiting for instruction. None came. The vibration stopped. Then came again. Vladimir finally lifted the device. One encrypted notification. They know. No signature. No explanation. It didn't need one. Outside, the illuminated walls of the Moscow Kremlin emerged through the snow like a fortress from another century. Red stars burned against the sky, a symbol of permanence. Inside the car, permanence felt like a myth. Change route, Vladimir said quietly. The driver hesitated. Sir, the council, change it. The sedan veered away from the main gate and into an underground access tunnel reserved for high-clearance officials. Concrete swallowed them. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. Vladimir opened the message again. A second line had appeared. Internal source confirmed. He exhaled slowly. So it wasn't foreign intelligence. It wasn't opposition forces. It was his own people. The operations room buzzed with controlled panic when he entered. Massive digital maps glowed across curved screens. News feeds scrolled in multiple languages. Advisors whispered in clusters. The room quieted instantly when they saw him. Report, Vladimir said. A young officer stepped forward, pale and rigid. Sir, international media outlets are preparing to release documents linking your Berlin meeting to unauthorized asset transfers. Which meeting? Vladimir asked, though he already knew. The officer swallowed. The private session 3 nights ago. A screen flickered to life. Grainy footage from a hotel corridor in Berlin. A handshake. A sealed envelope passing between Vladimir and an unidentified official. The image froze on Vladimir's face. He studied it without emotion. Leak origin? He asked. Internal council server. A silence heavier than the snow outside settled over the room. Vladimir paced slowly toward the center console. Lock down communications. Restrict access to Tier 1 clearance only. No external statements. Sir, another advisor said cautiously, the council has convened an emergency session. They are requesting your presence immediately. A faint smile touched Vladimir's lips. Requesting. Before anyone could respond, the heavy door behind him opened. Anya Morozova stood in the threshold, coat dusted with snow, dark eyes blazing. Security guards tensed. It's fine, Vladimir said without turning. She's with me. She wasn't. Not officially. The guards withdrew. Anya stepped forward into the glow of the monitors. You told me it was diplomatic strategy, she said. Her voice was steady, but anger simmered beneath it. Vladimir didn't look at her right away. You shouldn't be here. I had to see your face when it happened. He turned then. For a second, the strategist disappeared, replaced by something almost vulnerable. You think I'm surprised? He asked quietly. Are you? She shot back. Because I just received confirmation from 3 independent sources. Offshore accounts. Classified defense contracts rerouted through private intermediaries. Your signature is on everything. The officers in the room pretended not to hear. Vladimir stepped closer to her. Lower your voice. Why? They already know. Alarms suddenly shrieked through the compound. Red emergency lights flashed across the walls. An officer rushed to the main console. Sir, arrest authorization has been issued. The words landed like a physical blow. By whom? Vladimir demanded. The full council. The screen updated again. An official decree appeared, bearing digital seals and authentication codes. His name scrolled across it in bold letters. Charges. Treason. Misuse of state authority. Unauthorized negotiations with foreign entities. The room fractured into chaos. Phones buzzed. Guards shifted uneasily. Vladimir remained still. His personal security team, men who had protected him for over a decade, slowly moved closer. Not to defend him, to contain him. Stand down, he said. Their eyes avoided his. Anya stepped beside him. This is bigger than the Berlin meeting, she whispered. They're cleaning house. And you're the sacrifice. Sacrifice, he repeated softly. A senior guard approached. Sir, please. He extended a pair of cuffs. For a split second, it looked as if Vladimir might resist. His gaze swept across the room. The screens, the officers, the national insignia on the wall. Everything he had built. On whose authority? He asked. The state's. Vladimir let out a slow breath. I am the state, he said quietly. The guard's hands trembled. Before the cuffs could close, the lights went out. Total darkness. Shouts erupted. Footsteps pounded. Emergency generators flickered uncertainly. In the confusion, Anya grabbed Vladimir's arm. Now, she whispered. Backup power restored partial lighting, but by then Vladimir was gone. Snow lashed against the windows of a remote dacha outside St. Petersburg. The isolated wooden house stood alone against a frozen forest, its chimney smoke vanishing into the storm. Inside, the air smelled of old timber and cold iron. Vladimir sat at a heavy wooden table, coat removed, sleeves rolled neatly. A pistol lay within reach. Beside it, a leather-bound case. A small television flickered in the corner. Headlines blazed across the screen. Treason at the highest level. AN international scandal. Council calls for immediate trial. Commentators speculated wildly. Former allies condemned him with rehearsed sorrow. Vladimir watched in silence. Across the room, Anya paced. You had an exit route, she said. We could have been across the border by now. And proved them right, he replied calmly. They don't need proof. They've already decided. He poured vodka into a glass but didn't drink it. You think this is about money? He asked. What else could it be? He slid the leather case toward her. Open it. She hesitated, then unlatched the clasps. Inside were flash drives, printed documents, coded transcripts. Names she recognized, and many she didn't. These are council communications, she whispered. Unauthorized arms agreements, resource allocations siphoned to private networks. Foreign leverage operations. Her eyes widened. This implicates half the leadership. More than half. She looked at him slowly. You knew. I facilitated it, he corrected. Why? He leaned back, exhaustion finally visible. Because stability is not clean. It requires shadows. Someone had to stand at the center of it. And now they need distance from it. A sudden knock echoed through the house. 3 deliberate strikes. Anya froze. Vladimir closed the case and pushed it back to her. Go upstairs, he said. I'm not leaving. You're not leaving. You're surviving. The knock came again, louder. Vladimir stood and walked to the door. He didn't reach for the pistol. When he opened it, black-clad officers flooded in, boots stomping snow onto the wooden floor. Vladimir Orlov, the lead officer announced, you are under arrest. Vladimir stepped aside calmly. On whose authority? He asked again. The council. He nodded once. As they secured his hands, Anya descended the staircase, camera in hand. The officers turned sharply. She's press, Vladimir said evenly. Careful. The lead officer hesitated. Anya lifted the leather case. This goes public if he disappears, she said. The tension in the room became electric. You're threatening the state, the officer warned. No, she replied. I'm protecting it. Vladimir met her gaze. There was no fear there now, only clarity. You wanted the truth, he said softly. Show them all of it. They led him outside into the blizzard. Cameras flashed from beyond the tree line. International media tipped off by an anonymous source. As Vladimir was placed into an armored vehicle, he looked back at the house once. Not at Anya, at the storm. Hours later, in a detention facility lit by sterile white lights, Vladimir sat alone in a narrow cell. A guard slid a small television into view. News anchors spoke urgently. Mass resignations within the council. Emergency investigations. Public protests spreading across major cities. Anya's press conference played on repeat. She stood before a wall of microphones, exposing document after document. The conspiracy was unraveling faster than anyone anticipated. The guard studied Vladimir. You could have run. Vladimir watched the screen without blinking. If I had, he said quietly, none of this would survive. Outside the facility, chants rose in the freezing night. Some called him traitor. Some called him hero. Inside the cell, Vladimir allowed himself the faintest smile. The game had never been about escape. It had been about timing.